Hello, Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce members. This is Drew Kamp, President and CEO of the Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce for our January 20th weekly legislative update. There's not a lot to report this week. We did see a lot of action just predominantly on the school choice vouchers bill. That's really something they're trying to get done early on. It's the governor's priority bill. They're trying to get it done early so then they can have that done and then get state supplemental aid done for education and then move on to some other big issues like property tax. The House has dropped their property tax bill. It's largely Speaker Grassley's bill. We know that the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, Bobby Kaufman, in the House is working on something. Obviously, as I've noted before, Chairman Senator Dawson here from Council Bluffs is working on a bill that likely will tie in. I will as well for the funding of the Natural Resource and Outdoor Recreation Trust Fund. We look forward to seeing that come out, but obviously it's going to be a little bit longer into session before those bills drop, just simply because this is the end of week 2 of the session. So big bills like that usually don't drop until a couple months in. Like I said, especially with an issue such as school vouchers, kind of taking the lead and leading the charge for the beginning of the session. One thing we have heard is we've heard about both property taxes plus Director Durham's proposed mega project bill is that we may have to have some conversations on TIF. We've avoided for the last about 2 sessions, actually, some substantial conversations on tax increment financing. And that's something that we think with the property tax conversation, especially with the House, there's going to probably be some issues with TIF brought to the forefront to be discussed throughout session. Plus, there'd have to be some pieces done in the to be determined mega project bill as well, just largely tied to, obviously the local support and what that means for projects of that scope when you're talking billions of dollars. So that's something we're going to continue to watch. But like I said before, having Senator Dawson here is so important. And he's been so gracious in talking about the property tax issues, the I will, and then also how TIF and abatement and other things fit into that and why those are so important for us, especially as a border community, because they allow us to compete with, specifically our neighbor across the river for economic development projects. For economic development authority bills, that's something we continue to track. There's the consolidation bill, obviously, that would bring some cultural affairs under Debbie's purview at IEDA and IFA. Also, those pieces that we've talked about with the job trainings that would go under IWD. We continue to have lots of conversations with both Beth and Debbie, the directors of IEDA and IWD. We actually having a joint one on February 2nd with them both to have a conversation about that. So that's something we've been so fortunate that they've been so gracious in opening themselves up to have those conversations with practitioners in the field, both economic developers, chambers, and community college individuals who have major interests in how these things are going to come to be. With regards to the governor's priorities, I mentioned already, obviously, school vouchers is the issue right now. Next week, that's going to be what they try to push through. It's going to be a busy week for them up on the Hill, especially in the House, because that's where they don't know if they have the votes yet. So that'll be definitely of interest. Another piece that we also heard an update on this week during our Iowa Chamber Alliance meeting was just about the DNC and about the caucuses and about the primaries. Some of you may have heard that a few of the states that were selected in the new order for the top 5 didn't get some of their paperwork in. So right now we still continue to look at how Iowa could possibly fill a void for an early voting state and make some improvements that we know need to be made to try to not only have the Republican, but also the Democratic caucus here in the state, because as we all know, it's a huge economic impact and having that access is so important. So we're hoping that we can make some inroads on that front as well. So as I said, as we look ahead to next week, really it's going to be school vouchers as the predominant issue in both chambers, trying to get that over the finish line next week, and then move on to state supplemental aid, because obviously that's a huge portion of the budget for education in schools. And so that's something we'll look at, and then they can start taking bites out of some of these other big issues that I touched on earlier as well. But please do come back and watch next week. As I said, it should be fireworks in the Capitol next week as they take on this major issue of school vouchers. So we'll see, get done, and then see if there's been any updates and progress on some of our priority pieces. Like I said, property tax, TIF, IEDA bills, things related to workforce, all those different things kind of taking a back seat right now. So we look forward to them getting brought to the forefront and having some good conversations about those. So with that, I will conclude this week's legislative update. Thank you as always for watching, and thank you for your continued support and participation with the Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce. Have a nice weekend.